It's okay. So as we know that this Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Arjun and Lord Krishna. Arjun was facing a crisis, a very a very deep crisis of completely delusional. He was, he had slipped into this very very deep ocean of grief, and because of delusion he could not determine what he is going to do, what he uh, needs to do, and he was completely like he was completely in delusion, confused. And because he was very very sad and very very you know uh, you know like uh, immersed into grief, so it was very difficult for him to even perceive how to live. And he was, at one point he had decided to take his own life by not fighting against people whom he has to fight, and he was like ready to die, by not fighting. So then Krishna, and at one point while he was while he was completely helpless of not being able to stand firm and not being able to come out of this grief. So at one point in Bhagavad, during the conversation with Lord Krishna, he surrendered before Lord Krishna. This is very essential when our life is in a turmoil, when we are in a point where we cannot determine what to do and what not to, when there is no way ahead, when there is all darkness around. So, the best way is to surrender. Surrender to the Lord, surrender to a higher, knowledge. And if we can surrender, though we are, before a person or not, if we have this, completely surrendering attitude that, oh Lord, please help me, then you will see that the Lord will help you. There is Lord always within you. He is always within you. He is within your heart, and he guides you from there. So when Arjuna was in this state of complete despair, and he did not know what to do, so he surrendered before Lord Krishna. And from that point, Lord Krishna started to talk about the knowledge of the self, because that is the only knowledge. And the knowledge of this world, the knowledge of everything of this universe is ignorance. Only the knowledge of the self is the real knowledge which can dispel all your ignorance, which can eradicate all your sufferings and darknesses of your mind, and which can bring you, into light, into bliss, into happiness, into joy, into peace, into into complete balance, into complete understanding of what life is. So Lord Krishna started to deliver the knowledge of of the self. And while he was talking about the knowledge of the self, he talked about selfless activities, selfless actions, which is called nishkam karma, that you need to work selflessly. You should not work for the results. You should only work for works, for the sake of working. And in this way, you are going to excel. So while, and at the same time, Lord Krishna, he just showered heaps and heaps of praises about knowledge of the self. That knowledge of the self is the only reality. It's the only, the only thing that we need in our life. And this should be the utmost goal of our life. At the same time, when he was talking about knowledge, at the same time, Krishna was encouraging him to fight in this battle. So, there was a time when Arjuna was, before he was in grief, he was confused what to do, and he was completely depressed. Then Krishna, brought him out of that depression, of that grief, by talking about knowledge. But at the same time, you know, he, though he talked about the greatness of knowledge, he did not, spare him that space where he can devote completely into the knowledge by ignoring all his worldly duties. Krishna told him to fight also, because that is one of his very utmost duty. So then Arjuna got very confused, and he said that if knowledge is the only reality, if knowledge is so important for us, if knowledge is the goal of our life, then why are you encouraging me into this very heinous act of fighting, the war, where I'm going to kill people or people are going to kill me? So this is a very heinous war. Why are you encouraging me into this? Why not you just leave me alone so that I can retreat in a ashram or in one cave in the Himalayas and practice this knowledge for the rest of my life? That is the question which you know is at the very first verse of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga starts with this question of Arjuna, that if you think that knowledge is greater than action, then why are you encouraging me? Why are you engaging me into this heinous act of fighting? So, it's Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Atha Tritiya Adhyaya, Karma Yoga, Arjun Vacha. Now, Arjun is saying this. So this, this verse is in Sanskrit, and then we are going to talk about it. So Arjun says, Gyayasi chet karmanaste matta buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava vyamishraneva vakyena moho buddhir moho yasiva me tadekam vada nishchitta yena shreya hamapnuyam. So this is what Arjuna had said. Now, what does it mean? He said that if you consider knowledge to be better than actions, if you think that knowledge is higher than action, because in the second chapter, in one place, Krishna had said this, that durena hyavaram karma buddhir yoga dhananjaya. He said that this knowledge is far superior to actions. So if knowledge is far superior to action, why should not I follow the superior thing rather than engaging me into this very inferior action and killing people? So this was what Arjuna had asked him, that if you think that knowledge is so superior, it's so superior, then why don't you, why are you inspiring me into this war? And because of this, this contradictory words that you tell me, sometimes you say that knowledge is the reality, knowledge is the supreme, and then you say no, you should fight. That means when you say that you should fight, it means that fighting, engaging in a war is more important than attaining knowledge. That is what it says, because once you say that knowledge is the reality, knowledge is superior, and then after saying this, then you say you go to fight. That means this fighting or engaging into karma is much more superior to knowledge. So this is a contradiction. It's a paradox, and my intellect is completely deluded by this. Please tell me certainly by which I can attain my supreme goal. Please tell me. That is what he says. Arjuna had asked. It's like a request to Krishna, that vyamishraneva vakyena buddhir moha yasiva me tadekam vada nishchitta yena shreya hamapnuyam. With your contradictory words, I am completely deluded. Please tell me certainly the way by which I can attain my supreme goal. So then Lord starts to speak. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha means Bhagavan means the Lord or God. He speaks. Uvacha means speaks. So, from here, Karma Yoga and the science of Karma Yoga starts. So, sometimes it will seem a little bit off track. Sometimes it will seem a little bit of, confusing. So we will have to discuss about it, okay? Because, because Krishna is a person who had, compiled the entire knowledge of the Vedas into this, 574 verses that he had spoken in Bhagavad Gita. So it's not easy, okay? And these Vedas are infinite, this infinite words, So he has compiled this whole into one, just like, if he had spoken 574 verses, it means, it's like, 1,000, 1,100 lines of 8 words each. 1,100 lines of 8 word each, that means like 8,000 words, 8,800 words. So within this 8,800 words, he has compiled the entire, Vedas. Everything which is there in the Vedas, everything which is there as knowledge prevalent in the world, you will find in Bhagavad Gita. So, while sometimes it might seem that it's a little bit of off track, it's a little bit of, out of context things. So wherever you feel this way, please stop me and we can have a discussion. Okay. So now the Lord speaks. The Lord speaks. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. He says, Lokesmin duvidha nishta pura prokta maya nagha. Lokesmin duvidha nishta pura prokta maya nagha. Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Very clear things. Krishna, what Lord Krishna says, is like very crystal clear. And it's so scientific. When Arjuna asks, why are you engaging me into karma? Why not I should only devote myself in knowledge? Now, what is knowledge? This is the thing. Knowledge means knowledge of the self. Knowledge of the self is, it cannot be contemplated. Knowledge of the self cannot be contemplated. Knowledge of the self cannot be perceived. Knowledge of the self is something which is never manifested. It's always in the state of unmanifestation. So something which is in the state of unmanifestation, how can we perceive it without having a proper, without having a very deep realization? It's not only, if somebody tells you, that you are the self. This is a word. This is a word. It doesn't contain the essence. It will only contain the essence when you can realize it, feel it. You can believe it. Okay, I'm the self. You can believe it. But this believing is not realizing. This believing is gone. This believing is not realizing. You have to realize it. And to realize it, you need to go through a process. It's not like, you just listen to it and that's it. You know it. It's not like that. There are two kinds of knowing. One is paroksha and the other is aparoksha. If you, when you see, you will see that the spiritual knowledge is considered to be aparoksha. Paroksha means that knowledge which we attain by our senses, our mind. Somebody tells me something and I have this knowledge. So that is called paroksha, which does not have a realization, which does not have an experience. That is called, anything which is attained through our senses or the mind or the intellect is the paroksha knowledge, is a knowledge which is termed as paroksha, okay, which is not completely purified. It's not a pure knowledge. It's an impure knowledge because it does not have a very, it does not have the realization of it. Like somebody tells me about milk. Somebody tells me about milk. Milk is white, milk has calcium, milk has iron, milk comes from cow, this, that, and I know about milk. That is called, paroksha. That is called paroksha because I have known about milk from somebody. But somebody comes with a glass of milk and I drink it. So this is also a knowledge. In this knowledge, I have the knowledge of milk, which is become one with myself. So here I have the experience of milk. I have the realization of what milk is. So this knowledge is called aparoksha. So there are two kinds of knowledge. One is which we gain from our intellectual level, from our mental level, from the senses, from the world, which is ignorance, which is as better as ignorance. And there is another knowledge which is attained only when we can transcend our senses, which we can attain when we can transcend our mind and intellect and ego, where we can go beyond, and in some cases it's called para. Para, there is one is apara vidya and the other is para vidya. Apara vidya means, the knowledge which is of this world, of this material world, where I can see everything. And apara and para vidya, it's a knowledge which is of the beyond, which is of the beyond. Whatever I see here, it's not that. It's something which is beyond. Okay, so that's called apara vidya. So aparoksha anubhuti is called, aparoksha knowledge is this para vidya, that is the knowledge of the beyond. Now Krishna, you see what Krishna says. Lokesmin duvidha nishta pura prokta maya naga. Arjuna, there are always two paths. There are always two paths, which has come to us, which is prevalent in this world since time immemorial. The two paths. What is that? Jnana yogena sankhyanam. See how, the way he, the way he sees things and the way we see things. We also have studied, Jnana Yoga. We also have studied the Upanishads. And how he sees this. He says, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. Karma Yogena Yoginam. A person who has realized the self, realized the self, for that person, it is Jnana Yoga. Because he knows what knowledge is. He has the experience. And because he has the experience, that is the only way, because he has the experience. So he is the only one who is authorized to, to practice this knowledge of, or the yoga of knowledge. Because he knows what knowledge is. Now I have heard about knowledge, that I am knowledge. And I say, I am a Jnana Yogi. I'm a person who is, who is interested in knowledge, and I am practicing Jnana Yoga. How can I practice Jnana Yoga if I do not have the realization of the self? So I am interested in Jnana Yoga, but my path is actually Karma Yoga, because I have to train my mind, I have to train my intellect, I have to train I have to train myself to perceive the beyond. So I have to work, I have to go to a guru, I have to listen, I have to meditate, I have to chant, I have to do this self-contemplation, I have to go through processes. And it's not, it's not that I just listen to that I am the self and that's it, and I become the self. It is not possible like this. I have to go through a process. So when I'm going through a process, I am doing some karma. So it's not actually Jnana Yoga, it's also Karma Yoga. Understand? So he says, there are two paths. One is Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. A person who has realized the self, who is an enlightened soul, for him it is Jnana Yoga. Yes, because he knows what knowledge is. And because he knows what knowledge is, he can remain established in the knowledge. He can remain connected in the knowledge, and he can dwell into this world. And that is all about Jnana Yoga. You know what knowledge is, you realize what is knowledge, and then you stay in this world, you dwell in this world, you do your job, you do your work. That is called Jnana Yoga. But Karma Yogena Yoginam, but a person who is aspiring for knowledge. Here Yoginam means the person, the people who are aspiring for knowledge. For them, it is Karma Yoga. It's not Jnana Yoga, it's Karma Yoga. And that is why when I'm telling you to work, when I'm telling you to engage into war, It is not only that you need to engage into this war and fight for, this mere piece of land. I'm not saying this. I am making you, I'm inspiring you to get engaged into this war, because first of all, this war was within you. It has not come from the heaven. It is not descended from the sky. It was within you, and that is what you see in front of you. So, when you have this war within you, it's better to fight it now, rather than to, get away from it and face the war again at some point in your life. So this war that is here is not, it's not, it's not caused by somebody else. You are the cause of this world, of this war. So because you are the cause of this world, of this war, so you need to fight it. So whenever we have any actions, now when we talk about our own context, whenever we face any situation, always remember that this is what we had within ourselves. It is just the revelation of what we have within ourselves. It's just the projection of that. And if I run away from that, it means that, I'm just diverting myself for some time. And this scenario that from which I'm running away, this scenario is going to follow me. This scenario is going to follow me, and I have to meet it. I have to meet it, and I have to get along with it at some point of my life. So it is better to fight it now and finish it. So that is why Krishna said it. So the first point, why Krishna had repeatedly insisted Arjuna to fight this battle. Number one is this: this war is not this war is not caused by somebody else. You are the cause of this world. You are the cause of this world, and because you are the cause of this world, you need to fight it. Number one. Number two is number two is whatever karma we have in front of us. When we do this karma in a very specific way, if we perform this karma in a very specific way, this karma actually serves as a sadhana, as a medium of attaining self realization. So karma is not a medium to attain in this external world or in this material world. Karma is a medium by which I accomplish self knowledge, unity. I attain salvation, liberation. So if I ignore karma means these actions which are there with me. If I ignore these actions, that means I am ignoring the path of salvation. I'm ignoring the path of liberation. And if I ignore the path of liberation, then what happens? I am again directing myself into this dualistic world, into this world of phenomena, and getting deluded again and again, and getting associated with much sufferings. So this karma is the way by which I can get beyond this karma. I can get beyond this karma into that state of unity. When we are working, we don't understand that this work that we are doing, this work is producing results. So when the works are producing results, then, and if I'm attached to the karma, or the doer of the karma, or the results of the karma, I am in a cycle, in a chakra of karma and its results, and I cannot get out of that. But if I perform karma in a way which is called karma yoga, about which Krishna had talked about a little bit in the second chapter. In this chapter, he's going to talk about it in a very comprehensive way, in a very elaborate way. If I can perform my karma in that way, if I can perform my karma in the way, in that way which is called karma yoga, then this karma will lead me to a place where I don't need to do any karma at all. Now, why do we perform karma? We perform karma to fulfill our necessities. We perform karma to accomplish the needs, the desires that we have in our mind. And when we perform karmas or perform actions, we are trying to attain all the desires, all the necessities that we have in our life. Now, what does it mean that I will go to a point where I don't need to do any work? This means that through this karma, if I perform this karma as karma yoga, then I am going to a point where I will be completely fulfilled. All my needs, all my desires, all my needs, all my desires, all my existence, all my being will be fulfilled. I will attain the state of infinite. And then whatever I need is with me. Whatever I need, whatever I desire is always with me. I don't have anything, any shortfall. I'm always fulfilled. So, this karma takes us into that state where we attain fulfillment, completement. And that is called attaining purna. That is, completeness. Okay. So, that is the reason why we all perform karma, and we all have to perform karma, but in a way which is called karma yoga. So now Krishna is, he started to speak about karma yoga. The first thing he said that in this world there are two paths, but these two paths are for two kinds of people. It's not for the same people. One is jnana yogena sankhyanam. The yoga of knowledge that you talk about is not for people, is not for a spiritual aspirant. It's for them who have already attained the self. And they can stay in the self, they can remain in the self, and they can dwell into this world. So for them, it's jnana yoga. And for a person who is aspiring for knowledge, a person who is a yogi, who wants to attain the self, for him, it is karma yoga. Okay? Now, he is elaborating it. He says, na karmana manarambha naishkarma purusha ashnute nacha sanyasana deva siddhir samadhigacchati. What does it mean? He says, na karmana manarambha naishkarma purusha ashnute. When we talk about karma yoga, the first thing that we should know is we should not run away from karma. Whatever karma it is, it does not matter. Whatever karma it is, the only thing which matters is the way we perform that karma. So if we perform the given karma in a way, which is conducive for yoga, which is conducive for knowledge, then through this karma, I'm going to attain the state of, supreme knowledge. So he says, na karmana manarambha naishkarma purusha ashnute. Without performing karma, you cannot attain the state which is called naishkarma, that is worklessness. There is a state called worklessness, where you don't need to work. Now, who is the person who does not need to work? We all work. We have necessities. We have our, wants. People who are connected with us, they have wants. So for them, for us, for our body, for our desire, to fulfill our desires, we all need to work. Now, there are a set of person who says, I don't need to work. Who are these people? These are the people who are enlightened souls. So karma is a way of attaining enlightenment. So if I perform karma in the way which is called karma yoga, then this karma yoga will lead me to a place where I will attain the state of worklessness. And this worklessness means attaining the state of completeness. Like in the second chapter, when Krishna was talking about this karma yoga, when he was just, introducing karma yoga to Arjuna, he said, Neha bhi kramana shosti prattavayo na vidyate. Salpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. The beauty of Bhagavad Gita is this, that every chapter, when you go, with the approach of every chapter, you understand the earlier chapter in a better way. So we have studied the second chapter, but when we study the third chapter, our understanding about the second chapter will become more and more strong, more and more clear. So here, when he started to talk about karma yoga, he said that I have said many things about jnana yoga. Now I am going to talk about karma yoga, and from there he starts to, talk about karma yoga. He said, "Neha bhi kramana shosti pratyavyayo na vidyate salpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat." What does it mean? He said, "You see, Arjuna, now I am going to talk about karma yoga. So this is something which is very new to you. So this is very new to you, but and when this is something new to you, it's very normal that you will do some mistakes. You will commit some mistakes while you perform karma yoga. But in karma yoga, the principle is, if you have this intention of performing karma yoga, then while you perform karma yoga, even if you commit some mistakes, unconsciously, if you commit some mistakes, those mistakes will not be considered to be mistakes. Number one. And number two, the result of karma yoga is infinity. It's not finite. So when you introduce karma yoga in your life, you will see, infinite results. And one among this infinite result is to attain the state of worklessness, where you don't need to worry about anything in this world, whether you are dead or alive, whether you are facing a very, very serious condition, very, very, crisis, whatever it is, you need to always stay with yourself, and everything is going to work out on its own. This is what I'm telling you from my personal experience. You should, karma yoga takes us to a place where you are completely, you're completely guarded, secured. You're completely guarded, secure from all conditions of your life. And you are like protected, you're protected from, you're protected by the nature. Why? Because the completeness that you see within yourself, the completeness that you feel within yourself, it is also important for the nature. It's also important for this environment, for this world. When a person among us who has attained the state of enlightenment and who has, who always feels this completeness within him, the nature takes care of him. The nature takes care of him. All his needs are all met. So, Krishna says that karma yoga is going to take you to this point where you do not need to even worry about simplest things. Simplest things. You will attain the state of worklessness. Okay? Na karmana. But how will you do it? You have to work. You cannot run away from work. You have to work. Na karmana manarambha naishkarma purusha ashnute. Without performing any action, you cannot attain the state of worklessness. Nahi sanyasana deva siddhir samadhigacchati. And only by, taking a robe, I have become sannyasin. I have become a monk. What is the meaning of becoming monk? If you just renounce from this world, you are not going to attain that state of worklessness. You are not going to attain the state of infinite, enlightenment. Only if you are renounced, or you have taken a special kind of clothes, it doesn't mean that you will attain that state. For that, you need to change your mind, change the way of your working. You have to change the way of how you approach your karma, and that will make all the difference. Okay? Then he says, is it interesting? Hello? Is it interesting?
Are you kidding? You're on fire. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
Keep going.
So any questions? Any questions? No question. Okay. So then we, huh? Yes.
What was the beyond? Can we
Beyond.
just go back? Yeah.
Beyond means, whatever you see through your senses, isn't it? You see through your mind. You see with your eyes. Now, your eyes has a range. Your eyes does not see everything. So the information which the eyes gathers, that is the world for you. Or your ears. The information that your ears gather, that is the world for you. You don't know anything beyond that. The information that your nose gathers, that is the world. The information that your tongue and your skin gathers, that becomes our world. Whatever we consider to be world is actually the information that the senses brings to us. Now, these senses are all limited. They are not unlimited. They cannot perceive everything. Okay. So when we talk about beyond, we talk about the world which is beyond the senses. It is the same is with the mind. The mind also, because it is completely dependent on the information of the senses. So the mind can process a little bit, and it can go a little bit beyond beyond the senses, but that also has a limitation. The mind cannot go beyond that. So the area beyond the mind is called the beyond. The area which lies beyond the mind. In the same way, intellect can also process all the information that the mind gives, and the intellect can also go a little bit further, but that is also limited. We cannot see the unlimited things. We cannot see the whole. So the knowledge of the beyond means the knowledge of everything. The knowledge of everything. When the everything that we know now is not the everything, it is the fraction of that everything. So enlightenment means the knowledge of everything. The knowledge of everything that is. Okay. Like, there is an example. Like there were five blind boys, and they were taken to a zoo to see an elephant. Now five blind boys, how can they see an elephant? So one of them, he touched the tail of the elephant. Someone, he touched the legs, the feet of the elephant. And in this way, everybody touched the different parts of the elephant. Now when they were asked, how is the elephant? The person who has touched the tail of the elephant, he said, elephant is like a rope. A person who hold the feet of the elephant, when he was asked, what is your knowledge about elephant? He said, elephant is like the trunk of a tree. So they were all saying their experiences of elephant. So according to them, everything is right. But is it right? Is it the right knowledge? So this is how our knowledge is also about this world. It's the knowledge which is very similar to the knowledge of an elephant by blind boys. We don't see everything, and that is why we have a very limited vision, and from this limited vision we create things within our mind, and it's all and ultimately it becomes a big ignorance. We are all living in a big matrix. So what is enlightenment? Enlightenment broadens our focus. It tells us to broaden your focus and see everything. When you see everything, that is when you have the knowledge of the beyond. Okay, so now we are going to the third one. What he says, nahi kaschit shanamapi. Now, Krishna is now, he has given the touch that, see, without doing karma, you cannot reach the state of, without doing actions, you cannot reach the state of actionlessness. Okay, because your goal of life is to attain the state of actionlessness, because that is the point where you are going to attain everything: spiritual, material, physical, mental, emotional, everything, everything under the sun. It's there for you. Now, now he's talking about, the importance of karma in our life. Why karma is so important? Why Krishna has chosen this karma yoga to be the prime subject of Bhagavad Gita? When we will study Bhagavad Gita, in every chapter, in every chapter, he has touched this base. The base of Bhagavad Gita is this karma yoga. Karma yoga, karma yoga. He talks about knowledge and he comes back again to the same point, karma yoga. He talks about bhakti. He talks about, supreme, this love and, devotion. And then he just pulls back to the base, karma yoga. Okay, so everywhere, even in this, you will be surprised, even in this 11th chapter, that is Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, where Krishna had shown his, huge divine form. Even in that divine form, the 11th chapter, he has brought Arjuna into this point of karma yoga at some point. So this is the base of Bhagavad Gita. And that is why he is explaining why karma is so important to us. He says, Nahi kashchit shanamapi jatu tishtatya akarma krita. Nahi sharamapi jatu tishtatya akarma krita. Karyate hyavasha karma samagram sarva prakriti jai gunai. He says that, you know what? There is no time in your life when you do not perform any karma. Swamiji, what are you doing? I'm sitting. I'm doing nothing. This is not right. My body is not doing anything. My mind is working. I'm thinking. Isn't it? So, though my body does not work, my mind is working. So I am in the state of, action all the time. Okay. So when we say that, we don't work, there is nothing called idleness. There's nothing called idleness. When you misuse your resources, that is called idleness. You use or you misuse. In both cases, you work. Okay, either you go forward or you go, backwards. You are in action, in the process of action. There's no point where you are not working, and that is what Krishna says. Nahi sharanamapi jatu tishtatya akarma krita. Why? Why so? Why so that you are always in the state of motion? Why it is so? Karyate hyavasha karma sarva prakriti jai gunai. Arjun, you don't work. You don't choose which work you need to do, and you don't need to do. It's not that you choose. It is the nature. It is the nature and the qualities. The nature means 5 elements. The nature means five elements. That is, earth, sky, this ether, water, fire, and water, fire, and wind. The 5 elements. So with the 5 elements, our body is created. So body is a part of nature. Okay, and then mind, intellect, and ego. So these 8 elements, 5 elements, 5 physical elements, and 3 metaphysical elements. That is mind, intellect, and ego. These 8 together, makes what is called nature. And this nature gives birth to 3 kinds of attributes: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva means pure, bright. Rajas means a little bit dark and attachment. And tamas is completely dark. Completely dark. And it's intoxication, it's laziness, it's sleep. So these are the 3 qualities. So the nature which produces these 3 qualities, they when mix together, they when come together, they produces karma. It's not you. This karma that we are doing now, why we are doing this karma now, we all are doing this karma now. Why? How it is possible? Because at this point, our nature and the qualities are all similar. And because they are all similar, that is why we can come together and we can have this, we can create this world. This world, this karma that has been created by us is only because our nature and the qualities are all very, very similar or at par with each other. And that is why we could create this environment. So karmas are created by the nature and the qualities. And when they create this karma, we are bound to perform them. We cannot stop ourselves in performing karmas. Okay? And that is why it becomes so important for us to actually know the path of karma yoga, so that because though we are compelled to do this karma, we can use this karma for our benefit. Most of the time, the nature uses us for its own benefit. We are always getting used and misused. Okay, so today we are going to stop here, because from the next verse, it's all it's a series of messages. So this was the introduction of karma yoga. So the next Monday, we are again going to meet and we are going to talk about karma yoga.
Swamiji, that was sensational.
Thank you.
That's really, 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 really great. That's something.
If I talk about it, I think that I'm getting better.
You are getting better. You're really in your zone tonight.
I don't know nothing. It's completely point blank. Like blank.
Huh.
I have nothing.
Yeah, great.
And then then I don't know from where it comes. It's
just channels. Well, you were very zen tonight, and it just channeled. It was great. Yeah, thank you. Love that, everyone.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah. Your nature was just right.
Okay. Nature and the qualities.
Exactly. All in the Tao. Love it.
Yeah. So let us meditate a little bit, and I've also enjoyed a lot giving this class.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let's meditate.